Hello again. I'm Ellen Sentier, and this is Celtic Noir. And today I'm reading you a chapter called The Eagle, which is from Hollowbone, from Act 4, I think. Trying to remember. No, it's Act 3. And Jan has come all the way down France with her car, and now the car is gone, and she and her two ponies, who have arrived from Exmoor, are way up at the top of the Pyrenees, the northern end of the Pyrenees, above Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, if you know the area. I walked there. I know the area. I couldn't do it anymore, but I'm so glad that I did. It's very, very lovely. And she now has to walk all the way down the Pyrenees from up there by the Atlantic right down to the Mediterranean. And this is her first night on the tops of the mountains. So let's go and see what happens for her. Well, it's 3 days into the mountains. 3 days into the mountains, and it happened. High up now, way up in the clouds, the dawn chill nipping her nose woke Jehan. She unzipped the tent, peered out, and found herself looking out into a world of pink and purple clouds that stretched miles into the visible future across the valley. White-tipped peaks poked out of the inversion upwards into the sky. She lay stunned, watching, mouth open, sucking in cold mountain air, staring out at this world of clouds and light. And then the sun flared and blazed behind the peak opposite, near blinding her. Yesterday, she and the ponies had walked up from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port through the dense oak forests. Callis had ridden most of the way in the top of a saddlebag. They'd scavenged moors, the wild blackberries, and as they got higher, a few wild raspberries and strawberries had shown themselves. There'd been wild apples aplenty too, and pears, and the little Mirabelle plums. They'd all gone down well with the nutty, buttery, earthy sheep's milk cheese she'd bought in the town. And she'd begun stuffing spare pockets with hazelnuts as they walked. Now, with the hood of the sleeping bag pulled over her head, she sat still, warm and cozy at the door of the tent, entranced. Mountain backpacking with Dad and Jack had never brought her to a waking like this. How did we get so high so quickly? Keller's paws scrabbled up inside the sleeping bag and his head popped out as he pushed the zip further down to see what she was looking at. And then a pony nose snuffled in and blew at her hard. Because we walked steadily and not too fast, Dancer told her, sounding just like Granny. You're relearning, remembering how to walk and how to stop for a rest and stretch when your body tells you to. You used to push too hard, and now you can't. The mountain won't let you. Jan reached out a hand. Jan reached a hand out of the warm bag to ruffle the nose. Dancer was right. While I still could, I'd push myself to my limits and beyond. And now I can't. The nagging itch to get to Bugarak as soon as possible still lurked beside her. It wouldn't go away, but it wasn't now as strident as it had been when she'd set off for the ferry. The itch was slowly dulling down, going background, not letting go of her completely. It scratched at her again now. We have got to go at the pace we have to go, she told it, as she felt it raise its head again in the hope of being listened to. It sank back, semi-somnolent. She sat with the cat, watching the light show of the dawn and the clouds until it dispersed as the sun warmed it away. Getting to Saint-Jean had been weird. After the ponies had arrived and helped with sorting the stuff, they'd enjoyed themselves, frolicking in the surf, given her a couple of fantastic gallops along the miles of white sand, and then, as the Dempsey came down, Dancer had planted her hooves in the sand and stared Jan in the face. "We're flying," she'd announced, just like that. Shadow tossed his head and gave a whinny of chuckle of agreement. Jan sat with her mouth agog. "No way do we wish to do that journey on our hooves, let alone your feet. We'd be wrecked, you'd be freaked, and Kellis would likely leave. We'll fly you, both of you, and we're going tonight, right now, to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port." She stared, gasped, couldn't get out a word. "There's some great tracks up into the mountains from there, and you can do a bit of shopping before we get set off. Like randonnée maps, as well as food and a couple more changes of clothes. Wouldn't hurt, since Mousie took your bag off with her." Shadow had that serious stallion look on his nose. But I've never flown on you before. I'll fall off." "Just hang on to my mane." Dancer rolled her eyes. "Shish, most humans would give their eye teeth for a chance to ride a flying pony." So that's how it had been. Glad I'd had the ride with the Raven already. That stomach lurch was pretty incredible, and it was a good thing I'd not had supper, or I'd have sicked it all over Dancer's mane, she chuckled. And that it was dark. "It wasn't really dark," Kellis trilled sleepily as he climbed out of the sleeping bag, stretched, and stood in the tent mouth to peer at the incredible sky. "Only like walking on Exmoor without your head torch." "But I wasn't walking." "You were loving it once you got over the first shock. See?" He butted her hand. "There's good things as well as scary on this road trip." So they'd flown to the outskirts of the little Basque town in the foothills of the mountains. The ponies had parked themselves in a tiny glade near the river. Jan had rolled herself into the sleeping bag with a pony each side for hot water bottles and the cat in her belly. And she'd slept in past dawn. "We'll see you the other side of the Port d'Espagne," Dance had told her as the ponies left her at the town gate. "We'll make it towards Larue, and make sure you have some breakfast as well as bringing supplies. And ham for me," Kellis yelled in her head as she set off into town. The cat stayed with the ponies. The shopping trip had been good, so had breakfast in a little tabac right by the river bridge. She loved Saint-Jean, still as near unspoiled as possible, while having good shops and many of them perfect for serious hikers. She got all they needed, loaded it into a cheap day sack, and set off for the Spanish Gate. Kellis waited for her, hidden in the mouth of a track that led up into the mountains. "This way." He stepped out into the shadows ahead of her into the track. "There's a clearing half a mile up where you can reorganize the load. The ponies are up there, snacking, out of sight." And so it had been. The scent of the autumn woods had sunk right into her bones, refreshing her, washing all the pain of loss and fear away, at least for the moment, so she could get her stride back. There were mushrooms everywhere. She'd filled her pockets and the pockets of the day sack with them for a mushroom and sheep cheese fry-up later. It had been an incredible, restful day, walking easy, almost hypnotic, and they climbed high. Dancer led the way, with Kellis flitting about each side of the path, or sometimes wanting a ride in a saddlebag. But Jan had walked. The ponies had offered rides, but her body wanted the exercise, muscles wanting the lactose burn, and her heart wanting the rhythm of step by step. Time to think. She tried reaching out to Jack, holding the amulet, but no good. She'd felt it pulse. He was still there, still alive, and the pulse was steady, not weak or thready, but there'd been no contact since the stag, and she couldn't see him, no vision, only feel him through the amulet. The day's hike had made her tired enough just to set up the tent, make the fry-up, and then roll into her bag and sleep. To be woken by this. And she shook her head, staring round, smiling down at the cat, and pushed the bag down, got into her clothes, and crawled out of the tent. Little Rousseau chuckled as she filled the billy can. She lit the wood stove, pulled out the map. In between sips of tea, she chewed more of the excellent sheep's cheese and studied the potential paths. Putting two maps together, pinned down with stones, she could see the journey they had to do. A long way, a week, 10 days of walking. Again, the itch raised its head, wanting to berate her for her tardiness. Don't even think about it, she growled. We'll be there when we get there, and it'll be the right time. Kellis gave a cat version of a cocked eyebrow. We will, she eyed him back, and it will. Then she sighed. It's hard, but I'm getting there. Doing my damnedest not to push the river, but to let it go at its own sweet speed. The cat trilled softly, put a paw on the map, right where they were. There'll be stunning climbs, she mumbled round a lump of cheese, stunning views, and I hope we get to camp in more of the mountain lawns like this one, maybe even one with a little hay barn in it. I'd like to sleep in the scent of hay. There seemed to be a lot of tracks and paths other than the well-known tourist hikers' routes, and they'll take us high. Shadow came and hung his nose over the map, and then snuffled her hair. A couple of Potok ponies visited us last night, he said. Gave us some tips. We know the ways, but it will be good if you follow where we go on the maps too. Good for you. She eyed him sideways. He gave her a hoarse grin. Breakfast done, she packed everyone up, popped Kellis in the saddlebag, and Shadow led off. The path rose, twisting along the contours, until after about half an hour, they crossed the Rousseau on a little wooden footbridge. To the left, the fall flung itself down the cliff, while on the other side, Jan looked down into a ravine carved by the water. The green scent sparked her senses. Slowly, slowly, she was finding her way through the loss. The path led them up beside the fall to the top of the ridge and then along the stream bank. Soon the trees fell away and the path wound tightly around a huge erratic rock outcrops. After an hour it opened out into a mountain valley that held a mountain lake. The ponies skipped and bucked. Kellis leapt out of the saddlebag with an angry growl and then galloped along after them along the trail. The animals were enjoying themselves. She stopped, a grin stretching her mouth as she stretched her back. It did feel good. They headed across the meadow, and then the path got rough, taking them down into another valley, a snowfield. At its far end, a mountain stood in haughty solitude, its gnarled, multi-pronged peak reaching up to scratch the cerulean sky. Its reflection held still in the water of the lake below. The ponies led her down to a patch of lush grass by the lakeside. She untacked them, and they waded straight out into the water, began to splash and then roll, eventually coming out to shake all over her and the cat, and then roll themselves dry on the short grass. She sat down, got a brew going, shared meat with Kellis, glad of a rest. A wild scream from a mile overhead pierced the quiet. Jan looked up. Wide, dark gold wings tipped on the thermal as the eagle swept round in a circle, again and again, getting lower every time. The bird sailed round the valley one more time, called, then came slowly down to land on the grass with a double bounce. She'd forgotten just how big a golden eagle was. As she sat in the grass, his eyes were on a level with hers. Without thinking, she put an arm round Kellis. The eagle clacked his beak and whistled, his yellow-rimmed eyes catching hers. Not hungry, she heard in her head. It sounded like a chuckle. Come to see you. Jan blinked and swallowed. The bird bent, wiped his beak on the grass, and came a couple of steps nearer. You're on the right track. Keep following the track you're on now and go on up, he said. Keep upwards. The track will take you. Ponies know. Thank you, Jan whispered. Friends along the way. They meet you, wait for you, special places. The eagle clacked his beak again and pecked at a feather. Things to see, find, learn. He pecked a feather again. And I will be with you. We will all be with you, help you, as we can. He stopped then, held her with each eye in turn. You will need us. All the time the bird spoke, he sent pictures of where he was describing into her mind's eye, like a movie. There'll be a mountain lawn, barn, wait, sleep, friends come. He came closer still, stretched his neck towards the cat. Kellis reached forward too, out of her hold, and touched his nose to the eagle's beak. Jan caught the words between them. Go well, little brother. Tell her to look up when she needs me, and I will be there. With a great buffeting wind of wings, the bird lifted straight up in a vertical takeoff. Jan had seen eagles before, friends of Dad's, falconers, but never, ever had she seen one fly straight up like that, without needing a run and a jump first. Ye gods, he's powerful, she muttered. The ponies came across, whickering softly. She kitted them up, and they set off. The path twisted like a snake. Mountains reared up to one side, and moorlands sloped away on the other. So there you go. What's going to happen next? She's got friends, yeah, and she's met one of them, the eagle. She'd already met some, as you'll know if you've read the book. Who's she going to meet next? What's going to happen? Where is she going? I'm leaving that with you. So, have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.